testing ideas, whatever they may be, with TradingView and AI. All right. So the reason why we're having, or why I thought this could be an interesting topic, was triggered yesterday when Dave contacted me, and I actually met with Dave on Zoom. Dave basically contacted me yesterday, and we talked a little bit. And I'm paraphrasing here, he asked the question. He said, "Hey Daniel, I have had good results manually trading the following strategy: go long when the EMA 8 crosses above the EMA 50, and go short when the EMA 21 crosses below the EMA 50. Could you add this strategy to the liquidity view dashboard?" And just to show this to you how this might work, and it's a bit hard to see, but you can see the chart down here. When the green line, this little green line, is a bit hard to see. We're going to have some more clear examples in a second. When the green line basically crosses above the blue one, we go long. And when the red line crosses below the blue one, we go short. That's how it works. So the green line here is our EMA 8, and the red line is the EMA 21. And we're looking for crosses of either above or below this blue line here, which is the EMA 50. That's the idea. Now, Dave was asking, hey, he's had some success. He's traded this manually, and he was wondering, hey, could we add these signals for long and short to our dashboard so that we can scan for it? And of course, I said, as I typically do because I'm a positive person, that sounds like a great idea. But of course, I cannot just add something to the dashboard. We need to do our due diligence. So let's back test or test it. And this might sound familiar to you, because you might have been approached by, and David is an awesome guy, so this is not something, I'm not trying to disprove Dave at all, but of course due diligence is important, no matter what. Trust but verify. And this is something that you should be doing as well. So if somebody proposes to you, hey, I have this awesome algorithm, this awesome strategy, which does this and this and this, just trade with it. What you should do, you should verify it on your own. All right, so let's see if you can verify it. So typically, at least a few years ago, this meant, hey, let's start coding. Let's implement this strategy by writing it out in code. It's TradingView by writing PineScript code. That's the coding language or the programming language of TradingView. So starting coding. But of course, what if you don't know coding? Well, then you'd have to hire somebody like me or somebody else to do the job for you. That used to be the case a couple of years ago. But of course, now things have changed a bit. So even if you don't know programming, in some cases, in fact, in many cases, AI might help you, AI to the rescue. Because now you could just ask ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, whatever AI you're using, to do the coding for you. And for many smaller projects, this will work perfectly. So if you haven't done it yet, I'm going to show you now what are the steps to task AI to code such a strategy for you. And this could be applied to any strategy you have in mind. So just replace the part where I describe the strategy with your own strategy, so you can use it on your own. Shall we do it? Let's do it. So for this particular case, I will use ChatGPT, but it really doesn't matter. It's a really simple project. Any AI out there will be able to do the job. So ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and so forth. So any AI could do it because it's a really simple project, and all AIs out there, all the mainstream AIs, they are capable of doing this job. So what I've done is I, first of all, wrote up instructions for ChatGPT, and these were the instructions which I used initially. So initial instruction, take one. I'm going to copy this into ChatGPT in just a second. Write a TradingView PineScript strategy based on the following buy and reverse trading logic. Enter a long position when the 8-period EMA crosses above the 50-period EMA. Enter a short position when the 21-period EMA crosses below the 50-period EMA. The strategy should always be in the market, reversing the current position whenever an opposite signal occurs. So this is typically what you need to enter into AI so that it can make sense of it. You can perhaps even keep it a bit shorter, but typically the more information you give, the better the result will be as well. So I wrote it up like this. So let's now copy this into ChatGPT and see what happens. So I'm going to open up ChatGPT here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new project. New project, It's going to be my EMA strat for TradingView, for TV. Great project. Okay, so we're going to now copy this text into ChatGPT. So one second, let me just go to my slides here. There we go. I'm going to copy the text right in there. Just give me a quick second. Okay, there we go. Just have to get my text box. Alrighty. Here's my text exactly from the slides. I copied it into ChatGPT. And I say start. Do this. And of course, you all have used the AI before. This takes just the blink of an eye, and a first fully coded version of my strategy will be available. Isn't that amazing? Crazy world we live in. All right, perfect. So we have the code here, and then all I need to do is to copy it. There's even a button here to copy the code. ChatGPT knows exactly what we need to do. We copy the code and we go over to TradingView. Let me do this as well. So TradingView here, I'll open up a blank chart. You can see it's a nice blank chart here. I'm even going to take Trend Radar off it. And what you can do now in TradingView, you will see a little widget on the right-hand side. It used to be at the bottom, but a couple of months ago, they moved it around. Now on the right-hand side, you see this little pine tree here, this one here. Why pine? Because the coding language of TradingView is called Pine Script. Don't know why, it's just the way it is. So even from the very beginning, TradingView was customizable with Pine Script, and this is what it was called. So you can click on it. We'll open up an editor on the right-hand side. You can drag it a bit to the middle. And what you will do then here is you will use this drop-down. It's a bit unintuitive, but use this little drop-down here where it says Untitled Script, or whatever it may say. Drop down, and you say create new strategy, because we want to have a back-testable strategy at the end. So I'm going to do this. I create it. You will delete the sample code in here, and you will paste in the code that ChatGPT created or generated. It's done. Perfect. Now you can see add to chart, this little button here. And now my EMA buy and reverse strategy has been added to the chart. Let's see what it did. I'm actually going to clear also my watch list here, so it's all nice and clean. There we go. Okay. All right. So we do see a couple of that's funny. I'm going to talk about the colors in just a second. We can now see, okay, every once in a while, we have these long entry signals, like long and short entry signals here. So long 2 positions, short 2 positions here, and then these are always alternating. Okay, so far so good. And if you look at the lines on the chart, we can note that, hey, these are actually EMAs. The big, thick white line here, it's our EMA 50, which needs to be crossed either to the upside or downside. And then we have the green line, which is our trigger EMA for long entries, and the short, the red line here, which is our trigger EMA for short entries. Whenever the green line crosses above the white one, we have a long entry. Whenever the red line crosses below the white one, we have a short entry. All right, pretty good. So we have all these entries here. One thing to note, if you weren't aware of this, TradingView does not allow automatic execution. So even if you have written, like in this case, an automated strategy for TradingView, it will not trade live for you. This is a limitation of TradingView. I'm not sure it's ever going to come. I think they're trying to protect themselves from badly running strategies or having the liability. Right now, this is just a strategy which can be looked at in theory. When I say a theory, from a back testing point of view, we can basically see how this strategy would have fared historically speaking. In order to see this, what you can do is you can open up this panel down here, drag it up, and you can see basically all the executions of the strategy listed here. And here the assumption is we're only going in with one contract at a time. So the initial contract is one long, let's say, then a sell signal comes along, we have to reverse the contract. So we're selling 2 contracts to reverse it to being -1. Then we have to reverse again, we're buying 2 contracts to go back to +1 again, and so forth. That's how the strategy works. Okay, so all the entries are here. We can see we took 120 trades from starting from 1999, so crazy long period, almost 30 years. And perhaps more importantly than the list of trades here is what the reporting will give you. So this is this button here. You can click on it, and you can see this is the report. This is how the performance of the strategy, historically speaking, would have been on the QQQs on the daily time frame, because that's always important. Okay, so lots of trades here and a profit factor of 1.506 over time. That's pretty good. That's pretty decent. Let's check out some other ones. What about the SPY? Let's go here. I changed symbols. I'm going to go to the SPY on the daily time frame. And one thing you need to do, sometimes you would need to click redo the back test, but in this case, it's not needed. I'm going to show you later on when this might be needed. So in the SPY, it's even better. 1.973 profit factor. All right, great. And by the way, guys, if you are not familiar with the profit factor, I encourage you to look it up. It's a much more telling metric than the overall P&L in dollars. That doesn't say anything because that's dependent on the position size. The profit factor is position size independent. So that's obviously very important. So profit factor, anything above 1 is showing you a potentially profitable strategy. Anything below 1 is a non-profitable strategy. And by the way, the reason, if you notice this, it's so funny why this sometimes moves or ticks a little bit, is because the market is open and we're currently actually having a positive position. The long entry here, and with every tick that comes in, this is being updated. We basically slightly changing our P&L accordingly. It's kind of funny. Okay, so pretty good. But of course, you can probably improve this even further. So what we now can do, I'm going to go back to my slides here. We could say, all right, let's improve it a little bit. And the first improvement, and it's kind of funny, was the following, which I thought about. Take two, basically. And take two was all about styling. I don't like strategies or indicators in general, which are not nicely styled. They need to be pleasant on your eyes. Otherwise, they will confuse you and it doesn't, it's not intuitive. It's not good for your brain. So the second improvement I've thought about, what if we styled the lines a bit nicer? So the EMA 8 would be in colored green, the EMA 21 red, and the EMA 50 would be white and a bit thicker. Unfortunately, you may now say, all right, Daniel, this is what we already see here. Exactly these colors. But I have to say, this is because I ran this test before and ChatGPT, I guess it's too smart or it's very smart. It remembered these instructions, these improvements for my strategy, unfortunately. So that it already called these by default. But if your colors don't look like this, you could just paste in these instructions into ChatGPT to have it generate a second version of your strategy with these color choices. Okay, but there's one more take. Take 3. I thought, hey, it's an interesting strategy. First of all, and before we look at take 3 here, let's just think about this a little bit. And let's think about the conditions for a long entry and the conditions for a short entry. It's a bit strange because it's not symmetrical. A typical EMA or SMA crossover strategy only uses a slow EMA and a fast one. Whenever the fast one crosses above the slow one, we have a long entry. Whenever the fast one crosses below the slow one, we have a short entry. But the periods are always the same for both directions. This strategy is different. It uses a faster EMA with a lower period for the long entries. If you remember, our long entry was EMA 8 crossing above the 50. That's a fast one. And for these short entries, it's a slower EMA, an EMA 21 crossing below the 50. It's not a symmetrical strategy. It doesn't use the same periods for these two EMAs. One is 8 for longs, and the other one is 21 for shorts. And I thought, hey, this is kind of interesting. I probably implemented this before a few times manually, but perhaps without thinking about this properly. Because what does this mean? It pretty much means that we favor stocks which are actually trending upwards. We want to trade more frequently if the stock is bullish to begin with, because then we're getting into these long trades much quicker. Because these crosses with an 8 EMA are happening much, much faster than the crosses of a 21 EMA, because that one is much slower acting. Just something to keep in mind. Okay, so the third take was, hey, if we are focusing on stocks which are bullish in general to begin with, wouldn't it be cool if we also had a setting in our strategy which allows us to choose the trade direction? For example, which could say, hey, I only want to trade longs, or I only want to trade shorts, or I want to trade both directions, which should be the default. So I think that's a good idea. So I'm going to paste this instruction now into ChatGPT to get a second version of our strategy. little hack here for ChatGPT. If you're copy pasting from Word or sometimes even from the internet or from PowerPoint directly into the box here, it looks like this. You can see it here with this little image almost that is being added here, which takes quite some time. It's annoying to me. And there's a way around this. You can actually see how long this takes. Very strange. You remove it. And what you'll do is you hold, in addition to your control key, also your shift key, and then you paste it in. Look at this. That way it pastes in the actual text and not, I guess, some sort of formatted text, just a plain text. You do this. I'll say, do it. All right. And here's my new version. Like magic. Amazing. So I can now copy this again. Go back to TradingView. There we go. I will click on the little pine tree once again. I will replace the code in here with the new code. I will say save. I will, yes, update it on my chart. There we go. And now I have this new version. And in this new version, if you go to the settings of our strategy, this little settings wheel here, settings, you will now see, okay, we now have a drop down for the trade direction. Long only, short only, or both. And for example, let's just look at the SPY here. This is the performance graph for both trade directions, going long and short. What if we changed it to long only? What would you expect? Well, we know that the SPY is very bullish. We've seen the historical data. We probably will see an increase, an improved profit factor if we only take the long trades and skip the short ones. Like this short trade here, we should go short, even though this would have been a winner, we would skip. Okay, so you can go in here, and then you say long only. All right, it will update, and now my profit factor, it's a whopping 4.664. But be careful, this is based on hindsight information. We know that the SPY was extremely bullish, and it's easy to tweak the settings to fit nicely the historical data. Just be aware of this. And of course, conversely, if you want to tell, what would you expect if you only trade shorts? We're only taking the short entry sequence on a very bullish symbol. What do you think will happen then? Well, probably the profit factor will drop quite a bit. Maybe you can go below 1. Let's do this. Short only. Bang. Oh yeah, look at this. Horrible. It's not surprising. We know what happened to the SPY. But hopefully you can now see how easy it is to try out a strategy which perhaps somebody told you about. In this case. So I hope this was useful so far. But I have something else to say. So I'm going to go back to long and short here. All right. And I'm going to go back to my slides one more time. There we go. Okay. So because having this particular strategy implemented, it's nice. And we can test it on different symbols like the SPY, QQQ, or whatever comes to mind. But to me, this doesn't go far enough. I personally would like to understand, because there's no strategy which works for all symbols equally. That's a fairy tale. It doesn't exist. But I would like to understand what kind of symbols would this particular strategy would well with, and perhaps what other symbols where this strategy would not work so well. And of course, we could think about this ourselves by just analyzing what the logic is. We have more long entries than short ones. Perhaps it favors the long side. But of course, then we can also ask ChatGPT or an AI tool to do the analysis for us. So let's do this real quick. And then I have my conclusion at the end. So I'm going to go back to my text. I'm going to copy in one more time this text, which is just there. It's just copy and paste. You can do the same thing afterwards. So I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. I'm going to ask it, hey, ChatGPT, do this analysis for me. What kind of symbols will this work best with on the daily time frame? So we're going to keep it just simple. Daily time frame only. So here it's thinking a bit longer. All right. And let's just look at some of the insights here. So first of all, it tells us, hey, it's an asymmetric strategy. Now we figured this out on our own as well, because it uses two different types or two different EMAs for longs and shorts, right? And of course, it tells us this strategy may work best on stocks which are trending strongly upwards and not downwards. Yeah. Some examples are this one's here: NVIDIA, Broadcom, Meta, Microsoft, Palantir. Let's just pick one of these just to do a little sampling here. Let's do NVIDIA and Broadcom. So I'm going to go back once again to our strategy here. NVIDIA, there we go. And if you look at the performance here, actually it's not as not as great as I thought. It's decent, 1.187 profit factor, but not the nicest. Let's do Broadcom. Broadcom, there we go, AVGO. I mean, it's okay, 1.8 profit factor, definitely better than NVIDIA, but also not the nicest. And this, I think, tells you something. Because AI is not perfect. It will make these guesses, like where it may work well, like excellent fits, for example. But then if you test it yourself, you may see, hey, maybe AI was actually not as straightforward. And this happens a lot, more than I would like to see with the current versions of AI. And I encourage you, maybe if you want to redo this exercise, maybe on Claude, a different AI tool, or Gemini, or whatever it may be, you will probably get similar results. Because this shows you one of the limitations of AI, which I'm going to expand a bit more. It's not always correct. It makes guesses, but these guesses are not always correct. Let's look at some of the other things here. Stocks to avoid. What to avoid to trade with this strategy. AT&T, Verizon, and Heinz Ketchup. Let's check it out. Here we go. Heinz. Yeah. KHC. Whatever. Well, actually looks quite good on Heinz Ketchup. You can see it is not perfect. This strategy, so this actually was a decent symbol. Well, to some degree at least in recent history here. All right. So in any case, this shows you a little bit that, hey, AI may give you some information, but double checking and verifying is always a good idea, no matter what. All right. Now, I have one more thing to say. Can AI handle all my indicator and strategy needs? Okay, that's a loaded question. Let's think about this a little bit. And of course, it's highly relevant. AI is amazing. We use it all the time for some certain tasks in our daily routine, programming related or not programming related. And there are definitely great benefits to AI. But let's try to understand, first of all, what an AI actually does and how it can come up with these things. Because what an AI does is basically, it's a tool which takes advantage of crazy big data sets, which have been optimized and learned on. That's the secret key of AI. It's actually not a secret sauce. It's been given so much data and so much training that it can come up with these seemingly amazing conclusions. That's the idea of these large language models. We are feeding in unbelievable data sets into AI, which are text information. Wikipedia is in there and ChatGPT. Pretty much every single web page ever generated is being fed into these AI models. GitHub, the repository for coding, has been fed into it. So it knows about coding projects. All these things have been fed into. And what an AI does, or all the AIs that we typically deal with, like ChatGPT or Claude, it's doing something called generation. They're also called generative AIs. It will use this information in this data set, which it has been trained on, and recombine it to come up with a potential solution of a problem. That's the secret key. It's not really a secret key. It's just really a brute force approach. And it's possible because it has so much information it can go through. In fact, training these huge data sets is extremely expensive. This is not something you and I could do on your own. This costs millions of dollars. So the ChatGPT model, for example, that we're using right now, I believe it has been trained by server farms, and the cost just for the training is perhaps more than $10 million just for the training alone. This is how much computational resources you need, electricity and cooling system or whatever to train this thing. That's the secret key of AI. We have to be aware of this. Yeah, that's the only reason AI is so smart, or seems to be so smart. Now that we know this, what do you think AI can do for you? Where are the limits? Well, what AI can do and what AI is good at, it's to create things that already exist somewhere else. It could just find it for you. I guarantee you, the strategy which I asked AI to do right now, the EMA crossover, probably has been documented maybe 1,000 times somewhere. And AI can find these examples, find all these different variations and come up with its own thing. That's what AI is good at, because it has access to all this information everywhere. It's also really good at combining things. So it may find maybe if you think of a bit more complicated strategy, maybe EMA crossover with a profit target and a stop loss based on some percentages, it will be able to find these bits and pieces. It will find on the internet an EMA crossover strategy and perhaps somewhere else a strategy which uses profit target and a stop loss based on percentages. And it can combine this information into a brand new strategy. It's really good at this and combining things. And these can even come from different domains. AI is also really, really good at giving you lots of different alternatives of an idea. Let's face it, oftentimes, in trading, you have a great idea, but it doesn't work out. And of course, if you're coding manually, that's kind of annoying. You spend maybe an hour, 2 hours coding, maybe a day coding, it doesn't work out. It's really hard to let go. Now, the sunk cost fallacy is a real thing. You spend so much effort into something, it's hard to let go, even though it doesn't work and even though you should let go. With AI now, this is not the case anymore. You can get so many different variations and alternatives of a particular idea that you can do the trial and error approach. Because you always still need to test it yourself. You can't trust the evaluation of AI, but at least now you can get these different variations very quickly and fast. AI is really good at this. But having this said, AI also has its limits, especially the AI based on these large language models, based on these huge data sets and the way it reasons. Because, well, by the way, LLM stands for large language models. Because AI is basically limited to what it sees in its training data. If you are asking it something which is not in that data, and completely novel, which doesn't exist yet, AI will not be able to do this. It is impossible. So for something truly unique, which doesn't exist anywhere in some shape or form yet in its training data, AI will find its limits. And in fact, there is currently no strong evidence that based on the LLM technology, on these large language models, AIs will ever be able to do this on their own. And this is, I think, something to be aware of, because if you want something really unique, I still believe you need the human intervention and the human brain to do that. All right, so this was my little piece on AI and where it finds its limits. I hope you found it useful.